Hello there, how are you doing? And welcome back. In today's edition of the Rich Source Reviews, we are looking at Vertigo by Alice Merton. And for all of you out there thinking that this week all I've done is cover dudes upon dudes upon dudes upon country and southern rock, let's switch things up. I have something special in store for you today. Alternative rock, female lead, really interesting thematic approaches, all wrapped up in one sweet bundle in Alice Merton's Vertigo. Now, I found this track thanks to the really useful exploration tools available to us on Spotify, and my god, I was staggered. And I really couldn't wait to get something together on this song today, so here we are. Let's just immediately jump into the ingredients. What we get with Vertigo as a song really is an extremely tasteful, thematically appropriate, and expressive banger of a song. And when I say really expressive, what I mean is that there is a core theme, a core idea, which obviously is in the fucking title, Vertigo. Boy! And it really comes across through all the tools of instrumentation, the voice, the drums, the bass, and the guitar. You yourself out there at this point may actually be thinking, but Fred, every single time you talk about brand new music, you always say the same catchphrases is expressive, it's a banger, it's tasteful. What does this actually mean? And you know what? I'll give you this. That's a good point, my fellow very attractive looking colleague and peer out there on the internet. What I will tell you, the components, the ingredients, the organically and responsibly sourced building blocks to our big batch of sauce today are all chosen and orchestrated with a very clear end goal in mind. And that's why I say it's very tasteful. It doesn't really feel like there's anything in the song that's gratuitous, if that makes sense. Everything seems to be placed with a pretty good reason, and I really appreciate that. It came across to me, that's how I felt. Oh, and do consider subscribing down below if you're liking this edition of the Rich Source Reviews. Just a sneaky reminder in the middle of the video there for you. The bass is very powerful. It creeps along the scale, building up, not really accompanying the vocal, but it kind of feels like it's catching up to it. The vocal is about 5 scale degrees higher, then the bass just keeps on getting there and getting there and getting there, up to the point where they kind of finish the verse and the bass and the voice both kind of match up with the same melodic pattern, which, mind you, is also very sexy.
Very nice, Shiza-chan!
And all this thematically, as I'll go on to explain in a minute with the flavors section, I mean, I think it all works quite well. To add on to this, the drum beat is very solid, not as powerful as maybe you could expect from a John Bonham of old. Although I realize that's a very big fucking comparison to make, but it's the first one that could come to mind. Either him or Mike Portnoy, they're my go-to drummers for good fucking reason, I would think. But no matter what, it's not just serviceable, it's quite effective, it works quite well in tandem with the bass, I think, in kind of nailing that tone. In a way, it kind of builds a bit of anxiety, but in a good way, in a good way within the sense of the song. And it's really, really well kind of pulled together with the subtle integration of guitar. Now, I can't exactly make out from my listens this morning if it's some double stops, but they're being sort of bent up and down in unison, but at the same time not really, there's a tiny bit of dissonance, or if it's just playing around with a whammy bar and seeing what happens. Could be a pedal involved. I really don't think it's a synth, it's definitely a guitar. But the ever-present sort of wailing and whining of this little motif that goes out through the verse, if you listen out for it, it really pulls everything together in a way. And the easiest way I can explain this is in the realm of sauce. If you make an amatricianella, if you make one of those typical sauces that do include and do encourage a little bit of spice without overdoing it, I think you'll find that it's the really slight but elegant use of spice, of those couple of chili flakes, if you will, to bring out some of the flavors and enhance it without overpowering it. And these little guitar wails, these little whammy play around things with the double stops, I believe are doing the exact same things that a couple of chili flakes in maybe with the vegetables or the meat, while the core of your sauce really brings out the flavor without overpowering it. You know, it just helps. Not to mention as well, the vocal is, in my opinion, beautiful. I really got behind the voice. It was at the same time quite powerful, very expressive, and I thought that it was just so fitting for this particular song. Not necessarily because of the timbre of the voice, that helped, but I thought that the really tasteful addition of the reverb helped so much. It was not overpowering, but it was just so clear within a context where the song was very cloudy, very hazy. So I don't know, I really responded well to that voice. And now we reach the flavor section of my little rich sauce review. Now I think that from a flavor standpoint, thematically, as I hinted at before, because I couldn't help myself, it just kind of blurted out as usual. From a flavor standpoint, everything here is top notch, I would say. Again, it's very clear that there was a crisp, precise idea that Alice Merton was going for. She fucking nailed it. As I said before, I think the bass really takes center stage. It's what you pay the most attention to, but it does that without taking away the role or sort of the impact and weight of your other instrument. Comparing it, for example, to a delicious but simple pasta al pesto, you can think that it's the pesto by itself that takes center stage, but if you add a little bit of olive oil, if you add a tiny little bit of Parmesan cheese or pecorino romano, just to give it something extra when you serve it, it's just all a great mix that helps quite effectively. As I said before, there's that sort of anxiety building, creeping nature of the bass, which really does a good job in constantly hammering and being really close to that voice until it always reaches it, then moves away, and it really echoes the feeling of Vertigo. Now, I'm a bastard who's fucking terrified of heights, so when I'm looking down at something, and let's say I'm on a bridge or I'm up on a jumping platform at the pool, which doesn't happen often, but when it does, that's the feeling I get, you know, that it really hits it. You know, you're looking down, you kind of feel it kind of jumping up at you, but at the same time it doesn't, and I don't know, I feel like it's just here. It's been done well. From a standpoint of variety, I was starting to get a bit of a drift that the song was a bit monotonous, up to about 2/3 though, until there was a nice little, 20-second, 30-second little bridge, a little interval, let's call it, where the gain on the instruments and where that sort of anxiety building theme and motif that was kind of following through for the whole song kind of took a quick breather. There was a moment of clarity, and I really appreciated it, especially because the voice specifically was sort of stripped of most of the effects, and it was really quite nice to hear something clean in the mix. But it then kind of slides back into the main hook of the song, and I think that was a really cool little moment there. To quote the example of Una Matricianella, as I said before, it would be like popping a little bit of white wine in with the pork jowl when you're making it. It's something that if you don't do, not a lot of people are going to notice at the end of the day, but if you do it, the people who really appreciate it and go the extra mile to get behind it are really going to appreciate your dish that much more. And we're not done just yet, children. If you'll remember from the last couple of times, the final section is presentation, and let's say it together, everyone, really loud and clear.
Say the line, Bart!
What good is an amazing tasting sauce that hits all the boxes and is amazing in and out if it looks like shit and no one's gonna want to even taste it? Well, my classy and beautiful internet people with me today, I'm happy to say that presentation is top notch. As I've sort of hinted throughout the whole video, there's a really clear theme that comes across from the first rambunctious notes of that bass kind of climbing in with the bum ba dum ba dum ba bum ba bum ba bum ba bum. That carries through for the whole song. I really liked that small addition of the clearer midsection. Again, it's something that, as I said before, can be really overlooked and doesn't seem as important as the rest, but in my opinion, it was necessary because otherwise I would have felt like the song was a bit too much. It also gives me the great benefit and pleasure of coming across a new female artist who fucking packs a punch, and I'm just really happy to have found someone else I can resonate with, whose music I quite seem to appreciate. All this helps in coming together to deliver an atmospheric, brooding song. A piece like this, in my opinion, really delivers on giving you both positive elements of what a cool modern rock song really should do. Give you some melodic and musically interesting things to kind of get behind, be it for the sake of simple musical complexity, or be it because you want to do something specific and go after a theme, like in this case, and at the same time give you like a head-bopping banger, something that you can put on in the car, put on while you're having a shower, listen to, sing along to, and just have a good experience in listening. So, you know, like, I'm very pleased with this single. I hope that there's a lot more coming to follow it up with. And yeah, that's me. I think that the best way to cap off all the compliments that I've given Alice Merton and Vertigo as a song is the pasta comparison. And today's rich sauce review comes down to penne all'arrabbiata. Maybe my favorite pasta dish of all time in its simplicity and in its taste. It's, you know, it's just some sauce with a little bit of chili, a little bit of parsley. You don't really need to add much cheese. You don't need, you know, just leave it as it is. Maybe put a little bit of pepper on top. It's so simple that everyone loves it and everyone can get behind it. If you don't like spice, you may feel like it's not your thing, but it's never really that spicy. So it's always something that with a little bit of time is going to grow on you. So that's my dish, that's my review. Thank you oh so much for tuning in. I've had such a good time, and yeah, if you've enjoyed my review, if you've enjoyed the sauce, please consider subscribing down below. It'd be much appreciated, and I cannot wait to see you next time. And that being said, stay classy, my internet people.